diet for her, okay? No carrot, too fattening, definitely no cheese. And on the grilled chicken, do they do that without any oil or butter?
And what kind of dressing?
Let's do something really low fat, like maybe like a lemon.
Just lemons?
Just Mom, I'm so hungry.
You know what? This is for your own good.
We gave them the chance to make choices. If you take everything away, she's just going to wonder better.
You think I'm overdoing it?
It sounds a little harsh for a child.
Do you think I need to lose weight?
I think that it's always a good idea to learn how to be healthy.
No pancakes, or carbs, or cheese, or sugar. I'm going to need an extra plate because I'm going to take some of this stuff over there. It's too much. It's too much.
Says I need to lose weight.
What are you chewing?
Chips.
The potato chips?
Mommy, I only ate 2.
2 is too many. 1 is too many.
Excuse me, but you have a beautiful, lovely daughter. She is perfect the way she is. You are creating a monster.
Well, what you just saw just now was actually it's a reenactment. It's actually from this show called What Would You Do on ABC News. So it wasn't a real monster mom, but as you know, caring for your kids is always your #1 goal, your ultimate priority. You want to make sure they have the right education, make sure they have the right clothes, but you also want to make sure that they eat right. But what happens when you overfeed them? And of course, that reenactment that you saw just now might not be the best way to actually treat your child. So to help discuss this issue, let's please welcome our wonderful, we have 2 blogger mummies. We have Patsy, and of course we also, Patsy, and we have Dr. Rosa, and both of you have blogs, Pumpkin Mum, right?
Mama Pumpkin.
Mama Pumpkin, that's right. And for you, it's Azura MD Boxblog. And of course, we have Eugene, Wong Yu Jin. He is the health and wellness coach of Health Pro. What you saw just now, was it is quite a real issue, right, happening sometimes with kids being overweight. I wanted to ask you, Eugene, is the obesity rate in Malaysia big? Because we know in the States, we see a lot of kids who are obese.
Yep.
But how about Malaysia?
Well, it's gone up a lot. Let's just talk about overweight and obesity. It's gone up by about 2.5 times in the last 10 years. We've got about 1 out of 2 people who are either overweight or obese. So it's getting really there. We're really actually not that far from our compatriots in the US. And in fact, we are the fattest nation in Southeast Asia.
Seriously?
That's what the health minister just announced.
We are the fattest nation.
We are the fattest nation.
Wow.
So, and all those obesity-related woes as well, I'm sure the kind doctor can tell you.
Yeah, tell me a bit, Doctor. I mean, you're a mummy as well. Of course, you have 3 kids.
Yeah, I
right?
have 3 children, yeah.
But is it a big, it is a big issue like Eugene said?
Exactly, because when the mother bring the children to a clinic for whatever reason, when you plot the weight and height on the graph, sometimes you can see it's above 50th percentile, and sometimes it's more than that. So there are lots of things to do regarding this issue, especially the eating habits, the activities. Okay, all should start at home and also in school. Yeah.
Well, I heard Patsy when Eugene said, you know, about us being the fattest nation, you said nasi lemak. So
Roti canai.
So you think it's the food that we have, but again, as a parent, you're a mummy of 2. Right? How do you take care of your kids' health? I mean, without having to maybe force good food down their throat or to make sure that they avoid those bad foods. How do you handle that?
I think it has a lot to do with education. First of all, I educate myself, and then I educate my kids. Like, for example, they used to eat a lot of sugar, and I started showing them on the internet what happens when you eat too much sugar. You get diabetes. What happens when you get diabetes? You get gangrene. I showed them pictures on what gangrene is. It scared them.
So you have to put a little fear into them.
Yeah,
as well.
I have. That's what I've done.
But how do you didn't approach it like that, mummy, obviously on the TV just now.
But you can also approach it in a more positive way and tell them what eating broccoli would do for them, for example. Their bones get strong and they can jump higher, they can run faster. There's so many ways to approach it. You just have to be really creative.
Yeah, that's true. But you see, when it comes to vegetables, one thing I'm glad I love my vegetables because in a way, Malaysia, the way we cook vegetables is pretty good. It's tasty because my mom said, my mom used to boil the vegetables to death because she's English. So they literally boil it to death and it's not even green anymore. But in Malaysia, we actually have good ways of cooking vegetable. And Eugene, you were saying just before we went on the show, how important, because parents play a big role.
Yes.
So you can say parents are to blame, right? In this case, sometimes when a
Definitely.
child's obese.
I mean, it's really important because what we're trying to do is to get kids to move a lot, to do some exercise, some physical activity. But you can't be a parent who's just sitting down on the couch and say, you know, you should go out and play. You should be also exercising and showing the example. And also, you can't be eating junk food on one hand or smoking on the other hand and saying, you know, you should not eat this kind of stuff. So the child models after the
parent.
parents. Yeah, so the parent need to really take charge, you know, incorporate exercise and a healthy lifestyle, and also show it to them as an example to the child.
For Dr. Rizal, how do you do that? Like coming off of what you just said.
Sometimes my children are being picky on food, especially like vegetables. You know, they don't like it very much. So what I do usually, sometimes you put it inside the like meatballs. Put it inside.
So creative. You have to be creative.
Yes,
like a chef.
mothers and the parents also need to be creative because sometimes you need to modify the food so that it looks pleasant to them for them to eat. For example, you can make, just a simple roti jala. Okay, and then with the curry and the carrots, okay, you might want to put a little bit of the gravy, but the carrots, you can arrange it with the roti jala, you cut it nicely and put it into a smiley face with a hairy roti jala become hairy. I've done that with my children.
How old are your kids now?
The eldest is 8, the second one is 4, and the youngest is 6 months.
Oh, the youngest is 6 months. That's an interesting way. Patsy, do you like when it comes to food? Because you know, you always watch the movies. They've got a big plate of food and peas. No one wants to eat the peas. How do you, with your kids, any problem with their eating habit? Like you said,
Blend them.
Blend them.
Blend them and put it into pasta sauce.
Really? That's a good way because they don't know what they're eating. But it's great. It's good to incorporate that habit of loving vegetables or loving fruits, right? Eugene, and how would you do that with kids? You know, Jamie Oliver, he went to schools in the States to try and incorporate that healthy lifestyle. It wasn't easy, right? How would you?
I think definitely when it comes to looking visually pleasing is very important. Personally, like for me, I make my own breakfast. I eat it for myself, but I always put it in a very pleasant way so that I feel good about eating it as well as an adult. But I think for kids, the really more important thing is exercise or activity. Right? Rather, I don't want to call it exercise because there's like, they look at it as something boring.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of more playtime or activity. So encourage them to do stuff which is more physical. And kids, they really need to learn from the beginning that physical activity is important.
It's important.
Yeah, you have to put it down from the beginning when they're early in life. Otherwise, when they start working, they wouldn't think that it's an important part of their routine.
They already have that unhealthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
And don't you think that's a problem with kids now? Your mummies in this generation, I mean, in my days, we were still going out cycling. Obviously, it's not so safe now, but we were playing games. We're always, you know, either jumping rope, making our own guitar. How is it for kids nowadays with all this technology? Yeah, tell us a bit about that. How hard is it to get them
Strong
off
fingers.
that? Yeah, they have strong fingers, but not good enough to burn their calories. How is it? You know, would your kids do that? I mean, I'm sure all are. Sometimes parents are like, okay, now go play that game. You know, but how hard is it to get them off that to do activities? Is it hard?
We do it as a family.
Okay.
So every weekend, it's outdoor time.
Nice.
We take the kids cycling, or we take them to the park, and we make sure that as a family we work out.
Which is great because you get that family quality time at the same time.
Yes.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So what sort of
And
activities?
leading by example as well. Because mommy and daddy are doing it, they want to do it
they
as
like?
well.
Do they like doing it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great,
And they
fantastic.
like the time they have with us because in the course of the week we're so busy with work and everything else that we don't have so much time with them to do one-to-one quality attention.
Yeah.
So we do it on the weekends.
Okay, you know, weekends. And for yourself, you've got obviously a 6-month
Yeah.
baby. How about the other two? How do you make sure that they run around, go outside in the garden and run around?
Yeah, because we have a compound in my house, so sometimes in the evening they just go out and play their bicycles or play ball outside, and sometimes we join them.
Nice.
Right? And then during the weekends, it usually we bring them out. Sometimes in the shopping complex, they have these like kids gyms, right? So that's the
It's fun, like say playtime.
Yeah, playtime.
So they can kids gym or something.
Jump around on the bouncing castle or what. So at least spend about 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, make them happy, and they are all out. Yes, burn out.
Because kids, Eugene, I'm sure you know this because you're very into fitness as well. In order to grow, right, kids need to use their energy out. They have to move, right?
Yes, they need to exert a little bit of tension or pressure onto their muscles and their bones. Not overly exert, it's just movement. Basically. just various different kinds of movement. And when you have that kind of pressure, it actually makes the body grow stronger.
In a better,
in a proper way. And frankly speaking, there are just too many kids today who don't move around. Not just kids, Malaysians generally don't move around very much. In fact, we are starting a movement. We're trying to launch this project. It's called Project LIVE, and trying to create awareness on just movement or activities that you can do very simply at home. And simple exercises like squats or just jumping jacks, which are fun, or skipping.
But it really burns.
Yes, it really burns. It gets your heart pumping, it gets your blood circulating, you feel good, you feel energetic. You know, just a little bit of awareness of stuff like that.
Yeah,
things that we used to do when we were kids.
Correct. And of course, this is actually, I know, a sensitive issue. Of course, it's hard to, let's say, tell a parent, let's say you see that child, they're obese. Not just the cute, chubby sense, they're really, really overweight. What sort of things can actually, what are the consequences? You mentioned like diabetes, but what other things can that child, what can happen if they grow up? Lifespan, can it affect their lifespan? What?
Yeah, similarly, like Patsy said, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and then they could have a problem with sleeping, snoring.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good, right? Okay, so we need to advise them to how to lose weight healthily. Okay, not just cutting on the food intake, but also exercising, movement at schools. Okay, sometimes these children, because they have low self-esteem at school,
Because they get tormented, I'm sure. Because kids can be cruel.
Exactly.
Kids are honest. They see, si gemuk or fatty boom boom. It's true, right?
Yes.
It's sad, but it's true. It happens.
So sometimes a little bit of counselling and pet talk with them, one-to-one without their parents during the consultation, seems to boost their confidence, and they will eventually go out and play at school.
And
I think kids today are very spoilt. Everyone has a car.
True.
And when you park a little bit away from the entrance, they're like, oh no, why don't we wait for the entrance, right? So what I did was I brought my daughter to Yangon, where it's like 30 years behind. And we went to help some orphanages. And Yangon was so dusty and polluted, and she had to walk because we didn't have our air-conditioned car anymore. Taxis have no air condition. It was a total shocker for her.
Good.
And
so
she
putting
came
that
back,
reality back into her, which is true. Actually, this one we're all guilty of. So far. For me, it's not because I don't want to walk. I love exercise. It's the heat. Like, by the time I get there, my makeup already melt. But for kids, like you say, it's not good if they have that habit already. But what about, you know, when some parents, they look at their kid and they think, she's too thin. But actually, they're okay, they're healthy, they're average weight, and they keep feeding them. What's your advice to parents?
When it comes to eating, I think you pretty much can just leave it to the child to grow at their own rate. Some childs grow a little bit slower, some childs grow a little bit faster, and some are a little bit more active in the beginning, and some a little bit more active later. But the thing is, it's more important to eat healthily rather than just focus on the weight. I would like to focus on balanced diet. So a balanced focus on protein, proper carbohydrates, not so much processed ones, and a lot of fruits and vegetables.
So what are the processed ones, would you say?
All the white carbohydrates, you know. All the processed breads, buns, cakes, biscuits, and these are what kids like.
These are the naughty things as well,
these are the naughty things as well. But you want to focus more on unprocessed food. Unprocessed food. So things like brown rice and brown rice is one of the tricky ones. Found that kids don't quite like that sticky taste. But when you mix it with white rice, a little bit, it's okay. And once you slowly incorporate it, and they actually don't know the difference.
Actually, this is very true. I think if you start from young, like everything, like me, my family, we all don't take sugar or in any of our drinks because we did it from young. So as we grow, we don't need it, right? So this topic is definitely really interesting. We're going to continue our topic with our guests. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, this is what we'll be discussing as well.
So right after you eat these meals, you have energy. But the energy lasts a very short period of time. And you're hungry much sooner. And then you have to eat again. And then you have to eat again. And then you have to eat again.
It is a lot cheaper to go eat fast food. I mean, definitely, you can buy a hamburger for cheaper than you can buy an apple.
Growing up, I had home economics in school, and so they taught you what a healthy plate looked like. You had a starch, a protein, a vegetable, and I think that's the information that children don't have. And because they see in their environment unhealthy food and they see it's cheaper, it's being consumed by everybody, they don't think about an alternative. But if you gave them the education, maybe they would have the information to make the alternative choice, the healthier choice.
The food that you put in your body can either heal you or kill you.
Welcome back to Bella Society, where you just saw a video about people eating processed food, fast food. We were talking earlier to our guests about obesity in kids and how it can affect them in their life in terms of disease and everything like that. Of course, school, you get tormented and stuff. But looking from that video, Eugene, I mean, you were saying something, because it's processed food, and some of the parents are saying it's easy, it's cheap.
Yeah.
But the nutrients.
Yes, nutrients are all actually destroyed when you have processing. So even if you talk about like strawberry puree or just pure strawberry, right? Because of the processing, a lot of the vitamins, the antioxidants are all destroyed. Yeah, depleted from there. Even if you read the label and it says, you know, you have this amount of vitamins or this amount of antioxidants, but it's all destroyed in the processing. But the thing is, when you go into a supermarket, all these processed foods actually is shouted out at you. Right? When you come in, it's all convenient. Let's buy this, buy me, you know. And all the rest of the decent food or the fresh food is all at the side of the supermarket. The far away part. Why? Because these are the ones which has less profits for the supermarket, and most of it's actually in the middle. So they want you to really buy that.
So it's all to do with the marketing as
well. It's a lot to do with the marketing, and the packaging is so nice for the kids. When you go shopping with them, they want all this kind of stuff.
But that's when you say we have to be educated about it.
Exactly.
We have to know what we put in our own mouths as well, not just our kids.
You want to try to avoid all those artificial stuff, the coloring, artificial flavoring, the benzoates. All these things create a lot of problems, you know, like dermatitis, skin rashes, asthma problems. Even hyperactivity, you wouldn't want that in your kids.
True. Well, looking at that, you guys are busy moms, you know, so, because this one I can ask you as well. How hard is it? I'm sure we're all guilty of feeding kids fast food once in a while, but being a busy mom, and like Eugene was saying, there's all these convenience in the store. How do you find time? How important is it to find time to make sure that your child has that proper balance to prevent them even reaching the stage of being even overweight or obese?
Okay, I'm living with a extended family, so I have my mom to help to look into the children's meal as well. So basically, they are eating a lot of home food rather than
outside food.
Outside food, yes. Okay, once a while, occasionally, if we have a special occasion, then we bring them out. Yeah, but sometimes when they have this particular time, they just want fast food. Okay, you cannot just every day buy fast food like burger or pizza. I tend to make it at home. Okay, we make it like burger. We make the own patty, and pizza our own dough with our own fillings and sauce. Okay, that is, I think, another way. We can put a lot of vegetables, like the patty. We can put a lot of vegetables inside, so they don't see there are lots of veggie inside.
And that's not called fast food anymore because you're taking effort to make it. So burgers and pizzas are not fast food if you actually make it at home. It's fast food when you go and buy it out there. For you, Patty, how do you?
My kids eat fast food like maybe once in every 3 months.
Okay. So, but they love it, right? When they do.
They do. Except that now, since the horse burger scandal, they're more we don't want to eat horse burger.
Which is good, you know. Sometimes like put a little fear in them is important. How about parents who, you know, sometimes they think their kids, they'll grow out of it, puppy fat.
No, I think they need to be educated from young. Parents need to get educated.
Parents should
need to transfer this knowledge down.
They need to know that when they become a parent, they need to step up to the position.
Yes.
They shouldn't be staying like how they were when they were bachelors, you know, eating like how they were. So now you're responsible for...
You make a good daddy one day, isn't it?
I'm sure I will.
This one, the children will be all very fit one.
I'm a perfect example. I used to be a really bad eater. I love sugar. I was addicted to sugar. And look at me now. But now that I have kids, I've realized that I need to be a role model. And so I'm on my way to eating healthy, getting fit, losing weight.
Yeah, I like that
So
because you as
hopefully-
the mum have realized your bad habits. So you want your child to start from young,
Emulate.
incorporate that thing from young. Well, but schools, your children go to school obviously, well, isn't it? So how about the food at school? How do you manage that? You can't really control the environment unless you pack their lunch for them and all that. How do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what sort of lunch? Are they like, do they exchange lunch with the other kids?
They probably do to a certain extent. Yeah.
Children, if you're watching at home, your mummy took a lot of effort to make. No, but how do you, so what sort of foods would you make for them? Because obviously their friends will be going to the canteen and buying the food. Do you think our canteens in Malaysia is okay compared to the States? Because they again, it's like fries and all this kind of food. But we have a lot of starchy food as well in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Rice is one of our biggest staple, right?
It's all about, I think it's about cost. When it comes to the canteen, they try to make it as cheap as possible. And it's understandable that you can't have very nutritious food because it's quite expensive to have.
Which is sad in a
those
way
kind
as well, right?
Yeah.
They spend most of their time in school, like for their lunch or.
Yeah, but then again, they sell other things which are more expensive, like junk food previously. I'm not sure whether they still have junk food in school. Do they still have junk food in school nowadays?
I think, I don't know.
Would you
maybe
consider vitagen as junk food?
Well, my time is way back, but I used to eat this really naughty, this bread that was like sardine covered, and then they dip it in oil.
Yeah.
I was putting on a lot of weight that time. I was like, what is making me put on weight? So yeah, or how about the stores outside of school?
Yes,
the ice cream.
Actually, it's very
and the
impossible
junk
to
food.
control it. Because what I feel the government is doing is very superficial. They just say that, we stop junk food here, and then to get them active, they just gave out skipping ropes to all the kids. You know about that? And it's just for show. The more important thing is the education, because it's not incorporated into our school syllabus.
Yeah.
How to eat properly, how to start even
Why
exercising.
it should be
important.
self-governance.
And we want to educate our kids and of course ourselves. It's not about looking skinny or it's not about that. It's what the benefit comes from it. Looking good is the bonus, I would say, but it's inside your body because a lot of problems like respiratory problems will happen when you're overweight. But what advice would you give to parents who really can't control? Like I saw this kid, her teeth, she was only 4 or 5, black. She wanted her chocolate. The mother gave it. Then she finished, gave it. Instead of telling her enough, she couldn't handle the crying. As parents, what would your advice be?
I think you should start early in life. You shouldn't make it like sweet things like chocolates or sweets as a reward for the children.
Yeah.
If they do.
So it shouldn't be a reward.
Yes.
chocolates and
Probably
sweets.
you can change it to something healthier like vegetable sticks or fruits. Okay, and when you go out for outing, let's say you just pack grapes or apples instead of chocolates or sweets.
Yeah. I've seen like kids who are, let's say if they're below the age of 2, there's certain biscuits, like I know you say biscuits are not good, but there's biscuits especially for kids that have less salt or less. Should we try and give them those instead of the adult biscuits? When I say, like, are those okay? Would you say?
Well,
Maybe I can ask you.
Purely from a nutritional point of view, any form of biscuit will need something to compact all that flour together.
Okay.
Yes.
So it has to be some fat there, either in form of oil, margarine, butter. So in terms of the amount of calories in a biscuit, it's never as good as a fruit or a vegetable. So you can give it to them as a treat, but never as a staple food.
Not like the whole packet or something.
Not
as
to fill up the meal.
Not to fill up their meal. But you find kids, that happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Instead of eating their proper meal, because they fill up on all this junk,
They don't eat their proper meals.
right? How do you
They
feel
say that
about seeing
together.
kids, I don't know, maybe, I'm sure you're disciplined mummies, kids who run around while they eat. Do you make sure your kids sit down when they eat? Is it hard? Because my mum depends on it. Because I see it a lot in Malaysia. Eugene, do you see that a lot? Like kids just running around. How bad is that? No, how bad is that? Because when you eat, you need to digest your food. How bad is when you feed your kid and they're running and then they come back for the next spoon and then they're running? Tell us about that. I know we're talking about obesity, but again, we want the healthy living. How?
It's what I feel is important, not only just for kids, even for adults, is to have something what we call mindful eating. And when you eat, you really focus on the food and the pleasure of eating itself, instead of focusing on doing something else. Because you appreciate the food that you have.
Much more.
Yeah, much more. And you understand that this is to nourish your body. At the same time, your digestive system can work properly.
That's the thing, right? It's so important.
When
shouldn't
you are
be running.
relaxed, when you enjoy the food, you digest the food much quicker instead of running around or doing stuff. So a lot of, like, when you eat on the go while you're at work and all that, the foods digest very slowly and you feel very tired and very sluggish.
And in that case, you might say, yeah, it's good, my kid's active, they're running around, instead of the kids who just sitting there eating.
I think we should start early.
Early, that's the thing.
Practice it early, because I'm trying to do what we call baby-led weaning. When the baby is ready to eat at the age of 6 months, we should put the baby together with us during meal times. Instead
so
of
like a whole family.
Yes, a whole family. Instead, we are feeding them a different food. This baby-led weaning actually give the family food, like you're cooking some sort of broccoli without the seasoning.
Correct.
Seasoning, we just give it to the baby, baby who is able to sit down properly. And
what age would that baby be?
6 months and
6 months above.
Yeah,
okay,
and the
so
baby
your baby
can feed himself. It's amazing to see this. Probably you can find it in YouTube about baby-led weaning. It is amazing to see these babies. They sit down and just put in their broccoli inside and just chomp it. And if they have enough, they will leave it. Like nowadays, I think I used to do that also, when you just put your baby there and just spoon him until he doesn't want it, and still we want to spoon him.
Yeah, like eat, open, So, final advice, Patsy, to mummies as well?
Get educated.
I like
Get
that.
educated.
Yeah, and for you, Eugene, you learned something there. When you get
Definitely,
married, you know what to do. Final advice to our
I've learned a lot
parents.
today.
You learned as well, right?
That's good.
Ready to become a dad.
Ready to become a dad. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for coming on to Bella and enlightening us. I hope you ladies at home, our parents at home, you've been empowered with this knowledge. Get yourself educated, like I said, and of course, it starts from yourself. You as parents, make sure you are a good role model to your kids, and because we don't want obesity, it's a big problem, right?
Yep.
All right, thank you so much. Well, Bella,